Niko Paz to Como. This is one of the smartest transfer cases of the summer, and the question everyone is asking is fair. Why would Como spend 60 million euros now on a player they bought for 6 million euros 2 years ago? And why would Real Madrid not simply pay 9 million euros to bring back a 21-year-old academy graduate, a player who is now a star in Serie A, a player now playing with Argentina? That sounds crazy, until you stop looking only at the price and start looking at control. This is the SirAlex transfer fit verdict, and the rule is simple. A good player is not always a good transfer, but sometimes a transfer is not only about the player. Sometimes it is about control. Sometimes it is about timing. Sometimes it is about protecting a project before the market takes it away from you. That is the Niko Paz case. Officially, Niko Paz will stay at Como for the next season. Officially, Real Madrid keep a unilateral buyback option for the future. The official statement did not disclose the fee, so the 60 million euro figure is a reported market scenario. It is not an official fee, but that reported figure is the centre of the debate. Because on the surface, Como paying 60 million euros looks extreme. They bought him for around 6 million euros. Now they are reportedly paying 10 times that amount to keep him. So why? The answer is simple. Como are not paying 60 million euros for the same Niko Paz they bought at 6 million euros. They are paying 60 million euros for the Niko Paz who became the centre of their future. That is the difference. At 6 million euros, Como bought access. At 60 million euros, Como are trying to buy control. Control of the player, control of the project, control of the system, control of the future resale, and control away from Real Madrid. That is the real story. This is not just a player transaction, this is a power transaction. Como are saying something very clear. We are not just borrowing a Real Madrid talent, we are building around him. That matters because Niko Paz is not a normal squad piece for Como. He is the creative reference. He is the player Cesc Fabregas can build around. He is the number 10 profile, the connector, the chance creator, the player who receives between the lines, carries the ball, drifts wide, arrives in the box, and gives the attack identity. For Como, this is not just about one footballer, it is about keeping the player who makes the project believable. That is why the manager problem is so important. What problem is Cesc Fabregas trying to solve? He is not buying depth. He is not buying a rotation option. He is trying to protect the attacking brain of his team. Como have gone from being a rising story to a club with serious European ambition. Once you reach that point, the question changes. It is no longer this: can we find a good player? The question becomes this: can we keep the player who makes the project real? That is why Niko Paz is valuable. He is not only a creator, he is a recruitment signal. If Como keep Paz, other players believe in the project, agents believe in the project, fans believe in the project, sponsors believe in the project, and the manager keeps the tactical centre of the team. That is why 60 million euros can look expensive in a normal transfer model, but logical in a project control model. Now let us look at the Real Madrid side. The lazy question is this: why did Real Madrid not just bring him back for 9 million euros? On paper, that sounds like a bargain. A 21-year-old academy graduate, a Serie A star, Argentina visibility, creative profile. Why not bring him back immediately? Because the cheapest fee is not always the best transfer. Real Madrid would not only be paying 9 million euros, they would be creating a pathway problem. Where does Niko Paz play? How many minutes does he get? Does he start? Does he sit? Does Jose Mourinho use him immediately? Does he return to Madrid just to become a luxury bench asset? That is the danger. A buyback clause is only useful if the player has a role when he returns. Otherwise, you bring him back cheaply and damage the development curve. That is why this is not a simple finance question. This is a transfer fit verdict question. For Niko Paz, Como offers something Real Madrid cannot guarantee right now. Role certainty, minutes, creative freedom, manager trust, and the chance to become the face of a European project. That matters more than the badge in the short term. For a 21-year-old creator, minutes are not optional. They are the engine of value. That is why the player side of this deal is actually strong. Niko Paz stays where he is trusted. He stays where the system gives him freedom. He stays where the manager wants him as a centerpiece. And he still does not fully close the door to Real Madrid because the buyback path remains. That is smart. Now, tactically, what is Como buying? They are buying a free number 10, a left-footed attacking midfielder who can operate between the lines, a creative connector, a player who can drop deep, receive, turn, carry, combine, shoot, and arrive in scoring zones. He is not only a final ball player, he is a rhythm player. He links midfield and attack. He gives Como identity in possession, and he creates the kind of attacking reference that smaller clubs usually lose as soon as bigger clubs arrive. That is the key. Como are paying to stop being raided. They are paying to stop Real Madrid controlling the timeline. They are paying to say this is our player now, or at least this is our project until Real Madrid decide to pay the future price. And that is where the reported buyback becomes important. Real Madrid may have given up the cheap route, but they did not give up the future. They converted the cheap leverage into money now, and they kept an option for later. That is good asset management, but it also carries sporting regret risk, because if Niko Paz explodes, the fans will ask the obvious question: why did Real Madrid let him go again? That is the emotional risk. Financially, Madrid may be smart. Sportingly, they may still feel pain later. That is why this case is fascinating. Como are taking a huge financial risk. Real Madrid are taking a sporting optics risk. Niko Paz is taking a project pressure risk. Everyone has something to win. Everyone has something to lose. And that is what makes this a serious transfer fit verdict case. Now let us put Niko Paz through the SirAlex model stack: base football value, current fair value, value appreciation model, and then the final transfer fit verdict. Base football value asks a simple question: what is the footballer worth on football evidence alone? For Niko Paz, the base football value band is 48 million to 58 million euros. Why so high? Because this is no longer a normal prospect. He is 21. He has Serie A production. He has Argentina visibility. He has Real Madrid academy background. He has a rare creative profile. And most importantly, he is already role central. That matters. A young creative midfielder is valuable. A young creative midfielder who is already the attacking centre of a European project is even more valuable. But base football value is not enough, because Como are not only paying for the player, they are paying for control. That is where current fair value comes in. Current fair value asks what Como should fairly pay today, considering the whole market context. For Como, Niko Paz has a current fair value band of 58 million to 68 million euros. That sounds aggressive, but it makes sense once you include the control premium. Como are buying more than output. They are buying the remaining control of the player. They are buying protection from Real Madrid. They are buying Champions League continuity. They are buying the face of the project. They are buying the creative core of Cesc Fabregas football, and they are buying a future resale pathway. That is why the reported 60 million euro number is not automatically irrational. It is expensive, but it is logical. Under 45 million euros, this would be a bargain. 45 to 55 million euros would be strong value. 56 to 65 million euros is expensive but logical. Above 70 million euros becomes heavy project risk. So at around 60 million euros, the SirAlex current fair value verdict is clear. Expensive but logical. Now we move to the value appreciation model. This is where Niko Paz becomes a very strong case. What could he be worth in 3 years? Bear case, 45 million to 55 million euros. That happens if Como struggle with the Champions League load, his production drops, and the market starts saying he was a system star. Base case, 80 million to 100 million euros. That happens if he remains a high-output Serie A creator, keeps growing with Argentina, and proves he can carry responsibility in Europe. Elite case, 115 million to 140 million euros. That happens if he becomes one of Europe's top young creative midfielders, performs in the Champions League, and forces Real Madrid or another elite club to act. That gives Niko Paz a value appreciation rating of 8.6 out of 10. That is very high. Why? Because the ingredients are strong. Age curve, role clarity, creative responsibility, international visibility, Champions League platform, manager trust, and a future Real Madrid storyline. The model likes players who are not only talented, but central. Niko Paz is central, that is the point. Now let us talk about the risk. Como risk first. The price risk is high. 60 million euros is huge for Como. One deal at that level can shape the whole squad plan. There is also one-player dependency. If the system becomes too Paz-dependent, every drop in form becomes a club-wide issue. There is Champions League load risk, more games, harder opponents, more scouting attention, less time and space. There is also buyback risk. Even if Como pay big money, Real Madrid still hold the future card. So Como are not completely free. They are more free than before, but not totally free. Now Real Madrid risk. The financial logic is strong, but the sporting regret risk is high. If Niko Paz becomes a superstar, this will hurt emotionally. Fans will ask why an academy talent became a major asset somewhere else. That is the danger with selling elite academy players. Even when the structure is smart, the optics can punish you. Real Madrid also carry future cost risk. If they want him back later, they may have to pay far more than the old €9 million route. But that may still be acceptable if he returns as a finished elite player instead of a block prospect. That is the trade. Madrid sold the present. They kept an option on the future. Now the player risk. For Niko Paz, the biggest risk is pressure. He is no longer the clever underpriced signing. He becomes the €60 million project face. That changes everything. Every quiet game becomes a question. Every mistake becomes a debate. Every dip becomes a price discussion. But the upside is also huge. He gets minutes. He gets trust. He gets Cesc Fabregas. He gets Champions League exposure, and he gets to grow as the main man, not as a bench option. That is why the player side is a green light. So let us answer the main question directly. Why would Como pay €60 million for a player they bought for €6 million? Because they are not buying the old Niko Paz. They are buying the new Niko Paz, the project player, the creative hub, the Champions League signal, the player who tells the market that Como are not just developing talent for bigger clubs. They are trying to become a serious club themselves. And why would Real Madrid not pay €9 million to bring him back? Because €9 million was cheap on paper, but not cheap in football terms. The real cost was minutes, role uncertainty, squad congestion, development risk, and the danger of bringing him back too early. Real Madrid chose money now and optionality later. Como chose control now and risk later. Niko Paz chose minutes now and a bigger platform later. That is why this deal is so good for analysis. It is not stupid. It is not obvious. It is not just about the fee. It is about leverage. And in transfer football, leverage is often the real price. Final transfer fit verdict. Good for Como? Yes, if they can carry the financial weight. Good for Niko Paz? Yes. Good for Real Madrid? Financially, yes, but emotionally risky. Good at the price? Price sensitive. Best role? Free number 10. Creative hub. System reference. 3-year value? Strong upside. Move grade for Como. B+ now. A if the Champions League form holds. Move grade for Real Madrid. A financially. B- for sporting optics. Final label. Green light with price sensitivity. Como bought Niko Paz for €6 million. Now, they are reportedly paying €60 million to stop Real Madrid owning his future. That is the real transfer. A good player is not always a good transfer, but this one is a serious project bet. Subscribe to SirAlex Tactical for more transfer fit verdicts, current fair value, and value appreciation. Model breakdowns before the market catches up.